Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Sri Radha Krishna Padan Saguna Lalita Sri Vishakha Vitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Lapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhayascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavinna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in the last two verses, Krishna had given Arjuna and us the first two components of understanding our relationship with him. So in 10.8 he had talked about himself, that how he's the source of everything. So, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu Matata Sabam Pravartate, that everything comes from material and spiritual, and then he gives us an understanding of who we are, which is a devotee. Machit mat pranas bodhayantas parasparam kathayantas cha mam nitya tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So this is our eternal nature, that we are happiest when we are relating to Krishna or his devotees. So Tushyanti means satisfied and Ramyanti means happy. So we are satisfied and we are happy. So it is said that spiritual life, it gives satisfaction but no satiation. Material life gives satiation but no satisfaction. So when you are engaging in spiritual activities, gives you a lot of satisfaction. Small activities also, little bit of deity worship, little bit of chanting, you feel satisfied but not satiated, because the nature of spiritual life activities is that it makes us hanker for more and more. And material life, you engage in something and you get satiated. Right? You eat some palatable food, and after some time you can't eat anymore. Or you do an activity that you enjoy, and then after some time your enjoyment tapers off, called the law of diminishing returns. So to the point where the same activity that you find enjoyable, you become averse to it. So the satiation is, it gives you satiation, but no satisfaction. You may engage in an activity that you like a lot, but you still walk away unsatisfied. That is why people keep trying new things. They keep trying different ways in which they think this might work, that might work. So in the next, in the next two verses, there's a loose connection there maybe. So in the next two verses, Krishna completes other aspect of Sambandh Gyan, in which he will talk more about the nature of the relationship. And if you see the 4 verses, they are not linear. It's not that Krishna first completely defines himself, then us, then the nature of the relationship. These 3 things are kind of commingled. They're spread over the four verses. But essentially, these are the things that are predominantly spoken. So we have had good discussion on 8 and 9. So we'll start with 10:10. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pratipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So that's the nature of the relationship between Jiva and Krishna. So one might think that if the Jiva's position is to serve Krishna, then how is Krishna reciprocating? And Krishna is reciprocating in the same way. The Jiva is serving Krishna and Krishna is serving the Jiva. So the relationship is even though the nature of the service may be different, but the essential quality of the relationship is the same. And here Krishna is showing how does he serve the devotee. He says that I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. So Srila Prabhupada writes over here that the word so Tesham Sadatam Yuktanam Bhajatam Pratipurvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. So Srila Prabhupada writes that the word Buddhi Yoga is important and significant because Buddhi means intelligence, and yoga as we know is a process of linking with Krishna. So to those who are constantly serving, Krishna gives the intelligence by which we can link with him. This verse is very inspiring for practicing devotees like us, because at the end of the day, how much do we know? Very little. And we are sincere in our endeavors to inquire, but we are so finite. And so we don't even understand that which we are living in. If we are in the material world, we don't even understand the material world completely. So many things that are still paradoxes or inexplicable. What to say of the spiritual world? So we understand even less of that. But the assurance that we are getting over here is, so we don't know why the sound is coming also, right? I think the wireless thing may be the cause of the problem. So no worries. So we may sometimes feel like bewildered or overwhelmed. Right? There's so much that we don't know. What hope is there for us? Even the revealed scriptures, we know very little of that. And of the little we know, we understand even a smaller part of that. But we don't have to worry, because Krishna takes that responsibility. Dadami Buddhi Yogamta. So he gives us the intelligence. So how does this intelligence actually manifest? So when Krishna is saying that he gives us the intelligence, what does it mean? Suddenly our IQ goes up, or suddenly parts of the scriptures get revealed to us. What's your sense? What does it mean when Krishna says Dadami Buddhi Yogamta?
Your relation with Krishna increases.
Your relationship with Krishna increases. Very good.
Your desire to
serve Krishna, that that gets integrated.
Your desire to serve Krishna. Yes, yes. So these are all symptoms of Buddhi Yoga. Also, what increases is so this is a term that devotees often use, at least when talking amongst devotees, is that a realization is also go. So there's a little difference between understanding and realization. That we can understand something intellectually, but then when it comes into our heart, then it becomes a realization. We may understand we are not the body, but it's not often that we operate on that platform of understanding. Right? Because if we did, then we would conduct ourselves a little differently. So we may understand we are not the body, but we have not realized that we are not the body. What Krishna is giving in this verse is realizations. And in Updeshamrita, Rupa Goswami, he glorifies this exchange of realizations as something that is the cornerstone of making spiritual advancements. It's the foundation of devotee relationships. Right? When he says that, what's that verse? Guhyamakiti Prashadi. Guhyamakiti Prashadi is confidential exchange of realizations. And the realizations are not anchored on quoting verses, the realizations are not anchored on knowing, even though it helps, but they're not anchored on those things. The realization is very much direct between you and Krishna. Sometimes devotees will say, I feel Krishna is there protecting me, even the most adverse circumstances. Sometimes devotees go through trials and tribulations, and then they'll say, I don't know why, but I'm sure whatever Krishna is doing is for my benefit. Right? So those are the kind of realizations that come from within. The same term, Buddhi Yoga, is used by Krishna in the second chapter to Arjun before he has actually spoken about bhakti. And at that time, he's speaking more of Jnana Ashrit. So, out of knowledge also, we get realization. If not, we would not be sitting here and reading the Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada would not have written so many books, because until we have some kind of a semblance of a relationship with Krishna, we would not expect that kind of reciprocation from Krishna. Because still we are indifferent from Krishna, Krishna is indifferent from us. Right? So these books, preaching by devotees, kirtan at temples, so those are the kind of things that kind of break that stalemate. The stalemate is that sometimes it happens between married couples. So the husband is upset with the wife is upset with the husband. Neither of them want to take the first step. And then things are going on, and then finally some elder in the village or some elder will come, and then they will mediate. So both the husband and the wife, they both want to reconcile, but neither want to take the first step. So same thing between the Jiva and Krishna. Krishna, of course, is very anxious to reconcile, and the Jiva intrinsically wants to reconcile, but like they said, he is looking for the right thing in the wrong places. That he is missing that priti, that love. He is missing the tushti, the ramati, the satisfaction, the happiness. So he is looking for all that, because the Jiva has already experienced that. He experienced that in relationship with Krishna and his devotees. So that is why he has a strong taste for it. So they say that the pursuit of happiness is universal. Everybody is pursuing happiness. because everybody has experienced happiness, and they're looking for it. So Krishna wants to reach out to the jiva wants to reach out to Krishna, but they're not talking to one another. Because Krishna is bound by his vow of neutrality. He says, he says in the 4th chapter, Yatha mam prapadyante tam sate bhajamyam, that as one approaches me, I reciprocate. One approaches me in friendship, I become a friend. One approaches me in enmity, I become an enemy of that person's. In the 9th chapter, he says, Samom sarvabhuteshu name dveshasti na priya. Samom sarv, that I am the same to everybody. Na dveshasti na priya. I don't envy anybody, and na priya. I don't have preeti. I don't have love for anybody. So Krishna is bound by his voluntary position of neutrality. The jiva is bound by his illusion position of neutrality. But when the process of devotion starts, then that neutrality gets broken from both sides. Right? So Krishna, right after that, he says that samam sarvbhuteshu name dveshasya napriya ye bhajante te mam bhaktya maitateshu chapyam. He says, but even though I say I am neutral, but ye bhajante, if anybody is my devotee, then I live in that person and that person lives in me. Very, very intimate relationship that he indicates there. So the process of devotion begins to bear fruit from the very beginning. So the realizations, they are not the property of an advanced devotee or a pure devotee. As soon as one begins this process of bhakti, then Krishna begins to reciprocate. He begins to give us realization. He begins to give us perspectives that perhaps we did not have earlier on. Perspectives on the material life. Is this all worth it? Sometimes we share amongst one another that we are in difficult situations at work, and then we see people all caught up, they're worried or they're agitated, and then you get this out of body kind of experience. So you're looking at everybody kind of like playing on the stage, and then you see it for what it is, just the modes of material nature. So where are those realizations coming from? You're still the same person. So they're coming from by the mercy of Krishna. And Prabhupada in the purport, he so this verse is very comforting for us, and Prabhupada elaborates on the comfort that even if a person understands, I'm paraphrasing, so even if a person understands nothing about nothing, even if the person does not understand the position of Krishna, even if the person does not understand about the potency of chanting of the holy name, but simply if they're following the process, then the reciprocation begins. So from Krishna's perspective, everybody is in ignorance. Not in nations, but in the Brahma Samhita it is said that great yogis by the mystic powers and great jnanis by virtue of their knowledge, they cannot even see the toenails of Krishna. So these are people who actually know the Vedas, who actually know, who have actually studied the scriptures very, very deeply, and even they don't understand Krishna. Very difficult for the finite to understand the infinite. So it's comforting for us in the sense that if you're if you go in an exam, everybody fails, then you say, okay, everybody's failed, doesn't matter. So I got 10 marks, this person got, so let's assume the passing marks are 40%, right? So you say I got 2%, that guy got 39%, we have both failed. So it's okay. Right? Somebody passed, then you would be a little concerned about, right? So that's the situation in the material world. Somebody may be at 40% and we may be at 0.4%, but we are both, we are both incapable of understanding Krishna. If you're flying on a plane, then there's not much difference between a blade of grass and a tree. They both appear as tiny specks. Right? So the same, some person may know a little bit more, may know a little bit less. Krishna's perspective, they have small little bit understanding. But the big thing is Krishna's mercy. Krishna's mercy is coming in Krishna size. It is coming in abundance. And that is what is a hope. Any questions, comments? Yes,
You mentioned that from Krishna's perspective, everybody is ignorance, but not nescience. But nescience and ignorance are any different?
Nations is so nations is a little different. Nations is rejecting Krishna, right? So there may be some people who, not some people, there may be many people who might not even take to the path of spirituality. Right? So there's a different kind of ignorance.
Yes.
Right? But then there are people who take to spirituality, but like Prabhupada said, without fully understanding the nuances of spirituality. Right? So that is a different kind of ignorance. Like we do deity worship, how much of deity worship do we know? We don't know much of deity worship, right? Prabhupada simply, Rupa Goswami.
Very dignation. Because so many high position persons, if the situation is like this, then where I stand?
It's a good point. And along with those pastimes, your pastimes of Gajendra Moksha,
Yeah.
right? He was an elephant. We are better than elephant. He was an elephant, and
Sometimes.
he was caught by the alligator. For 100 years he didn't even call Krishna.
Yeah,
Right?
even
He was,
Prahlad Maharaj, he came, he directly said, Prahlad Maharaj, there are contradictions, like it may be suppose a small kid for 3-4 years with no much understanding, but if he can give small amount of maybe he has some chocolate, but he can offer something, then that's a big thing. But persons having $1 million, then if he is giving $1,000, it's nothing. So maybe just no with my knowledge, I'm a builder sometimes.
I agree with you because really speaking, it's not that Krishna is whimsical or it is happening in a haphazard way. The essential commodity is love, that is uniform. Krishna reciprocates to love. Some cases the love gets, and you give a very good example, that a small child who has nothing, and if he's offering, all he has is a chocolate, and if he's offering that, that represents everything that he has. Right? He's reflecting everything. So in Krishna's view, it is probably a lot more pleasing than a rich person offering a small amount of money. Like sometimes they say, but this is mostly they say for encouraging people to give in charity, that Krishna does not see how much you give, Krishna sees how much you keep. But this is more of a fundraising kind of a thing, because Krishna sees how much you give. He does not. What does he care how much you keep, right? And what does he care how much you give? Neither of them make any difference to him. All that matters to him is what is the underlying sentiment that accompanies that. Right? You may be giving everything, but you may be giving it with a sense of pride, or you may be giving it with reasons for expectation. It's still worthless.
Or for tax break.
Or for tax break. You may be giving it for a tax, towards the end of the year, donations go up a little bit, right? So it's not how much or how little. It is what's the motivation, and that's what makes the distinction between you given different cases. That's the distinction that when the quality of love in the interaction, when it becomes higher and higher, Krishna's reciprocation, it becomes more intense. The pastime of Bhishma Dev, right? When he was lying on the bed of arrows, then he was meditating so intensely on Krishna that even though Krishna at that time was with Yudhishthira and Arjun and they were planning, so to speak, the succession planning, but he was not able to concentrate. They kept saying, Krishna, what do you think, Krishna? And Krishna was like, what? And then finally he said, I can't concentrate because my mind is completely focused on Bhishma. So that's when they left everything and they went to Bhishma. So it's the quality of what we can offer, not so much the quantity. Some correlation, the more we love, the more we want to give. So there's some correlation there, but not an exclusive correlation.
The second question is how to develop that pure love. Sometimes just following the rituals, following the process, it is very, very slow, but maybe depends upon His mercy. But understanding that is the final goal. We should not develop the pure love. It's not happening.
It is slow but it is steady, and it is non-linear. It is again, Rupa Goswami explains the progression of bhakti till the stage of anartha nivritti. It's kind of like rolling a boulder uphill. So it is tedious, it is not in our nature to perform devotional service. Our senses get very quickly attracted to material. So we are going against gravity. But yet, if we persist, then once we reach the stage of anartha nivritti, which is the stage when some of our offenses, some of our contaminations are eliminated, then it becomes like rolling a boulder downhill. You don't have to try much. The only thing you have to try is to keep up with the boulder. So the bhakti at that time is basically ahead of you. You try to, you're trying to keep up with it. So the acharyas say that is there on the horizon. So we have faith in what they say. That's what keeps us alive when things are difficult. It's like you're driving and you keep on driving, and it becomes like, is this going to ever end? And then you look at your GPS and the GPS says, 25 miles ahead. So you say, okay, just 25 miles ahead. So this is the GPS that the acharyas have given us.
Understanding the fact that the law of development is not so good. Like Prabhupada used to cry in front of Rupa Goswami Samadhi. So we know prayer works a lot. So is it good? As it's not developing, so pray, give me that intelligence so that...
Prayer helps a lot. But the thing that helps us the most is following the rules and regulations. That's an adhikar right now. That's what the Guru Maharaj has told us. 5 instructions, follow the 4 regulative principles, chant the prescribed number of rounds. That's an adhikar. Right? If you stay alive in these do's and don'ts, then the outcome is for it will come. It will come. It may not come as early as we want, and even wanting it to come early is a good thing. That itself is a symptom of our desire to develop a relationship with Krishna. But on the words of Srila Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Acharyas, we know that it will eventually come. patience. Utsaha nishchaya dhairyat. Right? Thank you.
In fact, it's written, I read somewhere in our classes, one of the classes, that the attitude, nature of this process is very important. It has to be slow and steady and
Yes.
gradual.
Yeah.
Then it gets imbibed. Otherwise, if it's really fast, it's not probably
Yes.
that
Yes,
effective.
it may come and go.
Yeah.
Just want to add one point. I don't remember which lecture I heard. The example that we have initially, we are like moving a big boulder and it takes time. But if we follow the rituals, we can understand at least that we are trying to move a boulder. That itself gives a progress that this is my thing, that I am moving a boulder, it will take time. So that actually gives us that motivation that keep on doing it, follow the process, that someday we'll achieve it.
Correct. Correct.
So, I don't know where I read that lecture, but Maharaj was explaining it that way.
Yes.
And the other point that Amrita mentioned, that those examples, like those great souls also fall down at some point of time. But I think at the same time, it also the Shastra says that yes, they fall down, but they still remember why they fall down, and they quickly rectify themselves in the next life and the same life. They could get the mercy of Krishna.
Yes.
So I think that also is kind of saying that yes, you follow the path. If you fall down, still Krishna is there to support you to bring up.
Yeah.
All the same thing we see in Ajamila's life also and all this.
Yeah. Ajamil is a good example, right? He had very, very little reasons to attract the mercy of Krishna, but he did. So if Ajamil can do it, then there's hope for us. And if Jagai Madai can do it, then there's definite hope for us. Thank you.
Prabhuji, the word Buddhi Yoga means, in second chapter you mentioned, is Jnana Ashrit Bhakti only?
No, it's Jnana Ashrit in the sense that it's used in the more conventional sense. So intelligence is a product of knowledge.
Sure.
Right? So the more you learn, the more you understand there. So at that time, Krishna is talking about Sankhya. In that context, he uses Buddhi Yoga there. And here, Krishna has already spoken about Bhakti. 9th chapter has already spoken about the Bhakti. So here it is more in the context of Bhakti. And in a way, there is not much difference, because even there Prabhupada explains that even Jnana Ashrit, it will ultimately lead you to the process of devotion. So it could be considered as a preliminary stage. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Comments, questions, thoughts? So we'll do the next verse, the last of the Chatushloki. Teshamev anukampattham ajnanajam tamaha nashyami atmabhavasto yandipena bharata.
Verse 11, bro.
Yandipena Bhaswara. Sorry for that. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their heart, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So Krishna is continuing to talk about his end of the relationship. So it's interesting that Krishna speaks one verse to describe our relationship, and he speaks 2 verses to describe his own relationship. Like the acharyas say, you take 1 step towards Krishna, Krishna takes 10 steps towards you. So he's more anxious to reclaim us than we are to get reclaimed. Right? So he's encouraging us by it's like a father. The son has left the house, and the father is now trying to coax the son back into the house. Right? So he's saying, you come to the house, and I will cook the kind of foods that you like, and don't worry about getting up early in the morning, and you can take it easy. Just come to the house, right? And the child is like, oh, yeah, I'm thinking of coming to the house, and that's enough for the parents to become more enthusiastic about it. So Krishna is showing that enthusiasm. So based on the last verse, one may ask that how does this buddhi yogam actually happen? Right? Krishna is saying that buddhi yogam dadamine, that they get the realizations, and one may ask that how will these realizations actually happen? Very similar to the question that Amrita is asking, that how does one actually make real progress? And Krishna again in this verse that he's assuring that he's saying that I will help you, that I will with the lamp of, I will personally ignite the lamp of knowledge in your heart, which will drive away the darkness of ignorance. And Srila Prabhupada, he gives an example in Chaitanya Leela, in the purport. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Varanasi, so Varanasi is considered to be, anybody from Varanasi over here or close by?
I studied Varanasi.
You studied Varanasi? Varanasi, they're very scholarly, so very in scriptures, they study the Vedas, but they're impersonalists. They are primarily followers of Sripad Shankaracharya there. So when Mahaprabhu was there, he was criticized by the sages over there, by the sadhus over there, because he was chanting the holy name, and he was displaying all the symptoms of bhakti. And the leader of the sannyasis in Varanasi was Prakashananda Saraswati, a very renowned scholar. And then he started criticizing Mahaprabhu, that he's a sentimentalist. He does not have an understanding of the scriptures. He does not study the scriptures. So many times people, they consider the devotees to be sentimentalists. Like they'll come to the temple, they say they're singing and dancing and jumping. They don't understand the Vedanta. They don't understand, really speaking, the Brahman. So they look at it from the other way around. They say that because these people are addicted to material enjoyment, they're seeking similar kind of enjoyment in spirituality. And they may take to it for some time, and hopefully some of them will then progress to the path of Gyan and start reading the scriptures. And Prabhupada in the purport actually says that the devotees are actually very intelligent. They're very wise because they've understood that what is the end goal of the endeavor. Because reading the scriptures in themselves, what will that give you? That will just give you some knowledge. But it is shrameva hi kevalam. That you spend a lot of time, you spend a lot of effort. It's said just to learn the Vedangas. So before you can approach the Vedas, you're supposed to master the Vedangas, which are the 6 subsections of one who is becoming qualified to read the Vedas. So they have to learn the alphabet. They have to learn Vyakaran, the grammar. They have to learn Chand, the meter. So they have to learn Nyay, logic. So they have to learn these six Vedangas, which takes in itself anywhere from 8 to 12 years for a person who's full-time engaged in that. And then after that, the person becomes qualified to begin reading the Vedas. And then reading the Vedas itself is a lifelong activity. But what does that give you? If you know Sanskrit, what does that mean? It just means that you know a language. You might know French, you might know Russian, you might know Sanskrit. It does not mean anything. Right? You may know 100 shlokas. At least in India, there are people who I know of some who know all these cricket statistics like anything. They'll tell you that Gavaskar made 12 centuries and his highest score was 345 runs, and Chandrasekhar was never out. So they have all this. The statistics. It's a symptom of intelligence. That they have good memory. It has intelligence. And Prabhupada said, how would it help you when you're dying? Gavaskar is not going to come and help you, right? When you're dying. To all the statistics, it's not going to help you. So you may know science, you may know geography, you may know all the capitals in the world. It's a sign of intelligence, but it doesn't really solve the real problem of janma mrityu jara vyadhi, of birth, death, disease and old age. But the devotees, they know that developing a relationship with Krishna, that solves the real problem. So rather than going to all these detours. Now again, Krishna has given the Vedas with the understanding that when one reads the Vedas, one understands the greatness of Krishna, and then takes to Krishna consciousness. And when they take to Krishna consciousness, then they will sing and dance in front of Krishna. So the devotees, they take the word of their Guru as the authority of the Vedas. They take the example of the Acharyas as the defining principle of their life. With faith in Sadhu, Guru and Shastra, they follow the rules and regulations, and they follow their footsteps. So sometimes devotees would say, like there's this famous example of I think it was Gargmuni, very, very early disciple of Srila Prabhupada, but he was initiated by Prabhupada. So Prabhupada had established an etiquette that when you come in the presence of a guru, you give obeisances. So Gargmuni would simply come in and talk and go out. Prabhupada didn't have a lot of disciples at the time. And Prabhupada said that, it's good etiquette that when you come in presence of a spiritual master, you should give obeisances. So Gargmuni says, but I don't really feel like giving obeisances. Prabhupada said, don't worry, you give obeisances, you'll begin to feel like giving obeisances. So that's the potency of spiritual life. We may not feel this natural, spontaneous love. And to be honest with you, if you begin to feel natural, spontaneous love, something wrong. Because at this stage, that's not an adhikar. I had a definitely devotee friend, and whenever there was kirtan, he would cry. And then I was like very, very, I was very concerned because I could never cry in kirtans. So he would cry, and then I was like, I was very envious of him that he's going to go back to Godhead, he's crying and he's displaying all these advanced symptoms. And I would sit, trying to cry and nothing would happen. So finally I went to Guru Maharaj. I said, Maharaj, firstly, I'm developing a lot of negative feelings towards that devotee, because whenever I see him in kirtan, he's crying, and I'm becoming envious of him. I should not be. Plus, I'm also, wondering what's going on over there. We were kind of, we had started coming to the temple together, so we were kind of taking the process together. And the Maharaj said that he didn't know about the situation, but he said there are some people who are emotionally soft. So they can influence like that. We should not confuse emotional sentimentality. And so these are symptoms of very, very advanced around us. We take association of the other devotees and understanding that the purification is in the process. We have faith in the process. That's the biggest thing that we can, even more than Krishna. The biggest thing that we can put our faith is in the process. Questions, comments?
So Prabhuji, through intelligence and through knowledge, and through this process, we can expect to have love for Krishna eventually. Is that the point?
We can expect. So through intelligence and through knowledge, we can develop the conviction to follow the process. And when we follow the process will yield. So everything that Krishna is promising, so Krishna will, through that process, Krishna will give us realizations, Krishna will drive away our ignorance, and he will replace that with love for himself.
Is it sure, Prabhuji, or are there hiccups on the way, or
It's Krishna's assurance. So Krishna in the 9th chapter, right? He said that what's that verse? Name bhakti pranashyati. And he said that my devotees will never perish. It's Krishna's assurance. So and he makes Arjun. He says Arjun, you say that my devotees will never perish, because Acharya said that Krishna has a habit of lying. So, but he will never make his devotee speak a lie. So when Krishna is asking his devotee to say something, then it has 100% guarantee behind that. Prabhupada was once giving a lecture, and it's a very powerful lecture. He spoke for 15 minutes, the importance of going back to life. And then he says, so at the end of this life, become 100% Krishna conscious and go back to Godhead. And everybody in the room was quiet. They were like, how can you become 100% Krishna conscious? So then Prabhupada looked at everybody and he said, become 90% Krishna conscious. So even then people were like looking at one another. And then Prabhupada said, become 75% Krishna conscious, but no less than that. So to some extent it was humor, but it also points to the fact, this lecture is actually quoted in one of the verses of Bhagavatam, where Sutta Goswami is making the same point, that even if a person's bhakti is incomplete, then the mercy of his guru and the devotees will make it complete. Even if after that mercy it is incomplete, the mercy of Srimati Radharani will make it complete. So there are so many people rooting for you. Even the people you don't know, people you might not think are concerned about you, but there are so many people rooting for you when you take to this process of devotional service. So you actually have to try very hard to fail.
Thank you.
Okay, actually, okay.
Prabhu Dinesh was saying if there are hiccups, in my opinion, more the hiccups, the faster you get close to Krishna, Because when human being is very selfish person, when the hiccup is there, then he thinks, then he thinks of Krishna, And when he thinks of Krishna, then he says, then he gets peace of mind pretty quick. So more the hiccups, the better you'll be in life.
Yeah, it's there in the prayers of Kunti Devi. Kunti Devi says that I have lived a life full of trials and tribulations. Every time I was in difficulty, I thought of you. So, I mean, of course, we're not at the stage where we should aspire for difficulties or we should pray for them. We're not at that stage. But yes, even without us asking for it, difficulties will come on their own. Right? It's the nature of material life. Both happiness and distress, they come on their own. So distress will come on its own, and the nature of a devotee is that they will use both to make advancements. Thank you. Actually,
Prabhuji, on the same lines, is it natural to have anxiety for losing bhakti? That whatever I have gained, I just pray that I don't lose it.
I would probably question where that is coming from. I mean, it sounds like it's more of a survival strategy than a prospering strategy. Like if you have a little bit of money, one person is like, I have this money, let me just protect this money. The other person is, I have this money, let me invest it, let me make more money out of it. So when the stock market is very adverse, then the person goes in the survival strategy. Whatever I have, let me ring fence it and save. If it is doing well, then they invest it and they do well out of it. So I mean, not to stress the analogy too much, but if somebody is very much concerned about losing their bhakti, so the natural conclusion is that the perception is that he or she feels that he is in very adverse circumstances. Right? So that is something that one needs to look at. The person is probably thinking that these are the circumstances that will take away my bhakti from me. Even though philosophically we know that nobody can take your bhakti away from you. Even Krishna won't take away your bhakti. But the fact that the person is fearful of that, means that the person sees himself in circumstances far from being conducive to bhakti, feels that it's a situation that is going to be debilitating to that bhakti. Right? So that's where one's energy should be. Why is that perception there? I think it relates very well to the question that Hari Prabhu asked, or the comment that he made, is that reverses are also opportunities to make spiritual advancements. Right? So there are no real reverses in spiritual life. You either make little advancement or you make lot of advancement. One of the two things. Well, unless you're offending devotees, that's a different thing, right? But otherwise, you're either getting 10 rupees or 100 rupees, but you're getting something going on. Yeah?
I just keep recently I've gotten this question because I had a very young patient come and, doing very nice, lovely family, had 4 businesses, suddenly got a stroke and he has almost lost his identity. To a point where he's lost his business, he doesn't know, what he's going to do about that. Moved from a house to being in a trailer right now. The family is breaking apart completely. So I was just thinking, obviously I was relating it to myself. What if this happens to me? Does Krishna ever do that? Give you so many adversities at one time.
So if you look at it from Krishna's perspective, his take in this interaction is to encourage you to come to him. And Krishna is perfect; he doesn't make mistakes, right? So he will do whatever is needed to help you to make advancements. So there's that saying, right? That it's not a Vaishnava saying; it's a Christian saying that God gives you adversities that make you but don't break you. So yes, there are some adversities that come, whether they are God given or whether they're because of your karma, whatever it is. But to the extent that they help you make spiritual advancement, right? Otherwise, it will be difficult for you just start in Krishna consciousness. Next thing you know is that Krishna has taken away your job, your house is gone, your car is stolen, you're out on the street. Very unlikely that you'll chant Hare Krishna. After that, I had a personal example, not personally in my life, but where I was working, there was this colleague of mine. So she knew that I was into spirituality and all that. So she came to me one day and she said that she's Christian, and she said that I don't have a child, and we're trying to conceive for a long time, but we're not able to have a child. So, what does your God? Can your God help this? And I said, yes, of course. I thought it was a good preaching opportunity. I said, yes, of course, you chant Hare Krishna, and definitely will help you. And then she said, how do I chant? So then I got her beads and all that, and she started chanting. I think she went up to 4 rounds. And then after that, I kind of lost touch with her. So then, but one day I saw her and I said, how's everything going? Are you chanting? And then she said, no, I'm never going to chant this whole Krishna thing again. I said, why, what happened? And she said, I was chanting for 1 month. After that, my husband got arrested. He got deported. He's living in Canada right now. There's no chance of me having a child. All because of this chanting of Krishna. What kind of a God your God is? That everything was going well. So I think she had married somebody she's from some country, different country. So she had married and husband was over. So I'm not sure what happened, but something must have happened. He got deported. So, so I said, and which was a wrong thing to say. And I said, sometimes God does that, gives you adversities to build your spiritual strength. And then she said, I don't need this kind of spiritual strength. So, I'll get to you. So it's not that, I don't know about that, but it got me thinking, it's not Krishna, right? Why would he do that? Why would he break somebody's faith in him if, really speaking, all that he wants is the person to develop faith in him? But on the other hand, it is true that if somebody is, it's not that if you take to Krishna consciousness, then your material life becomes a doozy, right? Everything, you become so engrossed in enjoying the material life. That's a bigger challenge. That you begin to see that this material life is where I'm meant to be. Everything is going my way. That my health is great. I have a lot of wealth. I have so many followers. This is where I should. Where I should be. Krishna doesn't do that also, right? But he does what is needed to give you advancements, and always in accordance to your adhikar. Right? He won't do to us what he did to Prahlad Maharaj. Right? Poor Prahlad Maharaj, 5-year-old kid. His father was the most powerful person in the universe. Can you imagine that the most powerful person in the universe is trying to beat you up? You're just a 5-year-old kid, right? We read the pastime, and we have kind of become, because we've read it so many times, we've kind of become insulated from the emotional aspect of it. But think about it. You're just a 5-year-old kid. Your dad's the most powerful person in the universe, and the one thing that he wants to do is to kill you. It's a very difficult place to be. So Krishna won't put us in that place. He won't put us in the place of Kunti Devi, right? Trials and tribulations one after another. He doesn't do that. But yes, he will give us realizations. He will give us, like Narad Muni says, right? That when he was a 5-year-old child, his mother died. Right, and he says, my mother died because of an act of providence, which means because of destiny. His mother died. But he says, I took it as a blessing of Krishna. So, that's what a devotee does. Trials and tribulations come on their own. The aspect that makes a devotee different from others is, how do you process it? That helps?
So, Prabhuji, in other words, he will only give us what we can deal with and keep moving forward, right? What we can handle.
Yeah, and it's not, and we shouldn't even think that he will give us trials and tribulations. What he gives us is realizations. Trials and tribulations will come on their own. Right? Krishna is not waiting that, this person is not chanting good rounds, so let me give him some back pain so he starts chanting good rounds, or, this person is not reading the Gita properly, so, let me give him a stroke so that he goes into bed and starts. He's not going to do that. Right? So, but he will give us realizations. But because of our own karma, something might happen. Right? But then Krishna gives us realizations. But this is the nature of the material world. The people who were so nice to me till yesterday, they are refusing to say hi to me today. This is what material world is. Krishna gives us those realizations. That's what makes devotees special. That they have the unique quality of being able to abstract themselves away from material adversity and then see things for what it is. So that is Desham Evana Kampartha Ahamagyanaja. Yeah? Thank you.
And he will give us strength to deal with.
And he will give us strength. Thank you so much. That's Krishna's promise. That how did a 5-year-old boy stand up to Hiranyakashipu? Krishna gave him the strength to stand up to it. So he always gives us the strength there.
The point this is making is the fear of losing devotion. But sometimes we all, like at least sometimes I feel, I have to improve my sadhana and bhava, otherwise there may be, I may fall down, kind of fear. Is that kind of somewhat natural in devotees, or that shouldn't be?
So that's not a fear of. So it's a little different, right? That's the desire to do better. Right? You're chanting some rounds, you want to chant more rounds. You're not chanting regularly, you want to chant regularly. Right? So that's the desire to improve. That should always be there. Yeah. But that's coming from more of a place of I'm okay.
Yeah.
Right? I want to be more okay.
Right.
And there's always opportunities for us to improve. That's the thing we were talking about earlier on, that there may be satisfaction in spiritual endeavors, there is no satiation. We always want to taste more and more. Yeah?
Thank you.
Prabhu, you had a point?
I just was thinking about his answer, Prabhu, his answer. That's where when you lose something, that's where your faith comes in. You have to keep your faith in Krishna all the time. If you lose your faith, then the whole thing falls off. So that was my answer. Have faith. Just whatever happens, just happens.
Yeah. Shraddha is the bedrock of bhakti, and so it's both the cause of bhakti, it's also the effect of bhakti. So based on Shraddha, like you're saying that based on Shraddha you do devotion, and based on devotion your faith grows. So it's kind of like you're new to a city and you're sick, you go to the doctor, you don't know the doctor from anybody else, right? So the doctor gives you some medicine and then it works for you. Next time you fall sick, you go to the doctor again, he cures you again, and then you have more and more faith. So based on soft faith, Prabhupada writes in the introduction that even if you don't believe Krishna is God, still read the Bhagavad Gita. At least have some, but with some conception that perhaps Krishna is God. Or perhaps I do not know who God is. With some conception you read it, and then you do what is told, and then your faith will grow. Okay. Anything else?
My mom used to tell one of his stories, just because the point that we are talking about.
Yeah.
There were two friends, and I remember this a little. They were going somewhere, and anyway, the bottom line for that was one gets really something goes very wrong for him.
Mm-hmm.
Another person, very little goes wrong for him.
Mm-hmm.
So they were going to ask a sage or a wise person, and he says, this person was supposed to totally die, but it went as a small,
Like a token.
And the other person was to gain, but because he did wrong, even though he gained, he didn't gain as much.
Mm.
So the bhakti, when we do, like the lady who was doing, she maybe it would have been worse if she was not praying, is one of the ways to look at it.
That's a good point. I should have told that to her. She doesn't talk to me anymore. So.
Or the footprint story. For Christians, the footprint story would be the best one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, and actually, the point that you made is actually made in the scriptures that when a person takes to bhakti, then the reactions of the karma come through Krishna. So, if you were going to get so much, Krishna gives you a token of that. That if your if your car was going to fall off the cliff, Krishna may just make it fall into a small ditch, right? So the bottom line is that when we engage in bhakti, then we are developing a relationship with the person. So when there is a person, then rules and regulations. Karma is all about rules and regulations, right? You do so much good, so much will happen to you. If you do this bad thing will happen to you. Bhakti is about relationship. So Krishna will do whatever is needed. He will help you wherever is needed. He will give you reminders. He will give you realizations. So whatever is needed to establish that relationship, Krishna will do that. And that assurance he gives over and over again. Thank you.
We just want to add one point. All these points that we discussed of anxiety and sometimes loss of faith. My experience is that do come in between, but more we associate with devotees. I mean, getting Krishna's mercy is always there, but our realization that whether that mercy is flowing or not, probably we get it through the devotees. More we associate with them, they give the strength to, in that difficult times, to keep on continuing in the spiritual path, so that we don't lose that journey. I think more we associate that, probably that gives us better strength to continue in that same journey, and Krishna helps that way.
Because you'll also see that whatever you're facing, somebody else is also facing or may have faced in the past. So that gives us strength.
I mean, from material angle also, and spiritually also, Krishna says that devotees are more important than me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. So I think that we're actually out of time, but the kids have not come. And I'm wondering if I should do the next verse or should we...
Just one point.
But, thank you.
We have seen so many devotees. Most of the time they had the difficult time, but finally they are in very good state, even if materially and spiritually. If they would have kept the faith, in streamline. I never seen like devotee they just fell down materially or something. No.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Every time.
Yeah, that's been my realization also, that ultimately we'll see that the devotees get what they want. There are some devotees who don't aspire for a lot of material wealth, and they live simply. And there are some devotees who do aspire for a lot of wealth. I think I don't know, in this or somewhere else, I was talking about this case of this small child in Bombay, and he wanted to steal Prabhupada's watch. So he started pursuing Prabhupada. Wherever he would go, he would try to follow him, and he was engaged in crime anyway. So he got arrested, and then he was put in jail, and then juvenile, and then he came out of it. And as soon as he was very much focused on stealing from Prabhupada. As soon as he came out from the jail, he went straight to the temple and said, "Where is the Swamiji? Which Swamiji?" So Prabhupada used to have a Rolex watch, the one who has this expensive watch. So that should have given it away. Devotees didn't know it. So he said, "Oh, he's gone, but he'll come back if you wait." So he started waiting for Prabhupada to come back. And then, what is he doing while waiting, right? He's in the temple, he's doing kirtan, he's listening to classes, he's stealing a little bit here and there, but he's living in the temple there. And then by the time Prabhupada comes his mind is changed. And he goes to Prabhupada and he tells Prabhupada that I wanted to steal your watch. And Prabhupada said, I'll give you something much more expensive than that. Don't worry about it. And now he has several apartments in Bombay. He's the proprietor of ITV, ISKCON Television. He wanted to be a producer. He produced many movies also, and then I don't think he produces now, but he runs ISKCON TV television. They make good quality movies. Very, very rich person, very devoted person, but very, very rich person. So that's what he wanted. Right? He wanted, his bhakti fal. It does not diminish his devotion in any way.
Yeah.
Right? He's a good devotee. People respect him a lot. Radha Maharaj respects him a lot there. But that's what he wanted. Krishna gave him that. Some devotees don't care that much about it.
But at the same time, like, he must be giving good amount of his, profit.
I'm sure.
Is one devotee in Pune, he just left the job, thinking it's okay. I'm not going to spend more time. No, I have to 1 BHK in rent. It will come all the money, whatever the money I manage. But when he left the job, another devotee gave offer like, okay, I have a lot of money. I am a leader. Just now use some time and give your indulgence. Then within 1 year, he got like some crore benefit, where he was getting 7.something lakhs of the salary. He didn't have that expression. And straight up, he was
Yeah.
So many things.
There are so many incidents. I agree with you. Okay, we'll stop here. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai.
विश्वासेनैव जयते
महाप्रसाद की जय।
जय